I chose fighting personally because I think that entering the cage and beating the shit out of somebody and having your life put on the line and struggling for air against a worthy adversary is as spiritual as life gets as a man. But it's the age of spirituality because we're all to be replaced by machines quite quickly. And perhaps the only thing that's going to differentiate you is a spiritual component. If you're strictly regimented inside of this physical world, you're going to lose. ChatGPT can outperform most of you at most tasks already. That's a free app on a web browser. Where are we going to be in 10, 20, 30 years from now? The only thing that's going to be able to differentiate you from the machine mind, from the hive mind, is a degree of spirituality. So we need to all go on some degree of spiritual quest, right? Then you have to ask yourself, what is the spiritual quest? What is spirituality? Because there's people who read the books and walk with the rocks, and do the garbage. But I don't think that's real spirituality. I think real spirituality is truthfully always been some degree of battle, whether it's a battle against yourself or a battle against an adversary. That's what spirituality is. That's what it's for. Good versus evil. Heaven versus hell. So you need something to fight against. I analyze myself quite often. Why do I do what I do? Why do I say the things I do and keep getting myself in trouble? Why don't I just shut up and vanish on a boat with a bunch of women and live a happy, easy life? I think it's because there's a spiritual component to war. Knowing that I'm doing the right thing or believing that I'm doing the right thing against oppression makes my spirit happy. Because if you're not going to become a spiritual being in the coming years, I don't know how you're going to differentiate yourself from the machine minds. I don't know how you're going to even compete in this world any longer. You have to be prepared to sacrifice your flesh to resist enslavement. Otherwise, you're just going to be another cog in the machine. Even worse, you're going to be replaced by a machine as your previous place inside of the machine. And then I guess you just become a slave, asking handouts from the government, praying they give you enough bugs to eat. So what are you fighting for? I guess this is a very interesting question to ask most people. In fact, since I've become rich and I don't really need to make much sense to the common man anymore, it's a question I ask quite often. Members of staff come to me and they say, oh, hi, I'd like to work for you, and I can do this, I can do that. I say, what are you fighting for? Fighting? What do you mean? Fired. Loser! What do you mean, what do I fucking mean? Why are you getting up and consuming calories? Why are you waking up and doing anything anymore? You could lay in bed for the next 2 weeks, you'd find food, you wouldn't starve, your bills would get paid. Why are you even waking up in the morning? What are you even fucking doing with your life? What is your goal? What is your objective? There are no vacuums. There are no empty space. All of the land of earth has been conquered. You can't go and find land that doesn't belong to somebody else. If you're achieving anything, if you're expanding your consciousness in any direction, you're expanding it against opposing forces. You have a nemesis for all regards. As you grow spiritually, there's a huge bubble around you which is trying to constrict you, which is trying to keep you in your place as a slave. You are at war if you are enlightening yourself, if you're learning things, if you're understanding the world in a way you didn't previously understand it. This is what most people don't understand. It is a battle. Spirituality is a battle. Learning about yourself and learning about other people and learning about what it would take for you as a person to be prepared to sacrifice human years inside of a jail cell to resist enslavement, not only for you, not only for your family, but for humanity as a whole. That is a spiritual battle. And in the age of machines, it's only going to be the spiritual people that have any kind of differentiation between the matrix and humanity at all. That's your USP, your spirituality. Don't you understand? That's why you have to do the things you're supposed to do, because you're supposed to do them irregardless of the consequence. That's why you must do it. Because if you don't, you're entering a playing field you can no longer compete on. You are becoming a terrible version of a machine. You can't do math quicker than a calculator. You are going to lose. You now have to be a spiritual being to matter in this world anymore. It's quite interesting how God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, depending on your religion, has given us now in this age of technological advancement so many spiritual battles to fight. We are fighting for the soul of humanity. We're fighting for the ability to have children who respect us and who obey us, and have families which are sanctimoniously protected from the outside programming by the matrix. We are fighting for the ability to live free, to say what we believe, to have a point of view. There are endless spiritual battles all around us now. They've been given to us at the exact time we needed them. We needed spiritual battles, and here they are. So most of your waking day as a man, of course you must make money, of course you must train, of course you must prepare for the oncoming enslavement in the physical realm, but you need to prepare in the spiritual realm. You have to ask yourself a question: are you genuinely prepared for the consequences of doing the right thing? I think you reach a level of enlightenment when you understand that you are. One of the most fantastic things about this saga that I've been through is that I have no fear of jail. I've been to jail. I've been in and out of jail 5 times now. I'm one of those guys. I'm in and out of jail. You know those guys, and you say, oh, you hear about that guy? Oh yeah, he's in and out of jail. That's me. But now I'm no longer scared of them. The worst thing they can do to me within the confines of the law is lock me up. I'm not afraid of it, which has made me more determined to do the right thing. More determined to feed my soul and feed my spirit and be a spiritual being who's doing the things he believes to be right purely because they believe to be right, irregardless of the consequences here in this physical realm, because the physical realm is soon to be conquered purely by the matrix and the machine minds, and there's going to be nothing left for us at all anyway besides an artificial version of reality that they'll project into your eyes, very much like the Matrix. We're 50 years away from you putting on goggles and pretending to be a millionaire and pretending to sleep with girls in Miami with your little goggles on, jerking off. In fact, most of you are already there. That's what's going to happen. You're going to either live inside of the slave machine mind, or you're going to be one of the rebels resisting, doing the right thing because it should be done. So, I guess, when I was younger, I'd date a hippie girl and she'd say, your third eye and karma. And you'd be like, shut up. I mean, I'm still like, shut up. Because the women don't really understand it. They just read it or they see it on Netflix and repeat it. But there is a point to it. There is a point that you need to start looking at the world differently. You need to look at it from a karmic standpoint, a karmic viewpoint. There are karmic retributions that you don't quite understand. Everything I do, I look at very logically. I make a very logical real world plan. Then I look at it karmically. How will this karmically affect me if I'm successful? How will this karmically affect me if I fail? You can actually put yourself in a position where you win either way. I'm a legend if I walk. I'm a legend if I go to jail. Win-win. You need to analyze everything from the karmic standpoint. I understand what I'm saying is going to go over a lot of your heads. But truthfully, if you go to work to make money to feed your family because you know you need money to pay the bills, that's one thing. But if you go to work to make money to feed your family because you believe it is your duty as a man to provide to the people you love, and you believe that them respecting you for doing that will allow them to listen to you and trust you, so when you tell them what they saw on the TV was wrong, and you can help them resist the enslavement which is being broadcast into their eyes directly from the Matrix, and they're more likely to listen to you because of the respect they have for you for the hard work you've done, then your job doesn't just become a job about currency or a job about paying bills. It becomes a spiritual job that allows you to gain karmic points in the realm which will be used to save the souls of the people you love. Say, okay, well then this is the mindset I need to have to be as successful as possible. Anything that's deviating me away from that needs to be addressed and concerned and dealt with, and I can do that myself. And I think the fear that, if it's fear that's waking me up from nightmares now, it's just because I understand there's a very big apparatus, a very big enemy, which I cannot destroy and I cannot beat, coming to get me. Mm-hmm. So I do think that wakes me up. I think the fear is healthy. I think I'd be stupid to not be afraid. But I don't necessarily want the fear to go away because I have no problems feeling bad.
Well, it's not about going away. It's coming into deeper relationship with it and understanding that there's fear that's happening in real time, but there's also fear that may be in your psyche somewhere, in your body, that's connected to your history. And that may need to be resolved because otherwise you're projecting things out that you may not be seeing reality totally clearly. That's the thing, right? Like, is there a way that you're not seeing things perfectly clearly?
Well, then we go back to what I just said about perhaps that's true, but if I measure myself purely on competence and purely on achievement, whatever I think and whatever I'm doing is obviously fantastic. So I'm very happy with the mindset I have. And then we go into the argument, which is a level deeper, is am I supposed to be happy? Am I supposed to feel good?
No, it's not happy.
No, of course, but this is what I don't understand about people, especially men in the world today. Why are they so worried about being afraid? Why are they so worried about, I was afraid every time I fought.
Yeah.
I fought anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I don't let fear guide what I'm going to do. I do what I'm supposed to do regardless of how I feel. So I don't see anything wrong with feeling fearful. I don't see anything wrong with feeling
stressed or under pressure or anxious. All these things men are trying to get rid of. And I talk about men specifically. I gender this because I'm a man. I don't know how it feels to be a woman. But all these things that people are trying very hard to get rid of from their brains, I don't see why they need to leave. I will argue the point that if I feel anxious and pressured and stressed and fearful, I will get more done than if I was happy. I think if I was happy, I'd just be hedonistic and just wasting my time. I think that you get a whole bunch done with these negative connotations and negative emotions. And I think that life is suffering and pain, and you're here to go through it. And the sooner you get used to the taste, the more successful you're going to be. I have no interest in trying to change the flavor, my friend. The flavor of life is pain, and I will eat all of it. And it doesn't matter if they put me back in jail or not. I'm not sitting there going, how can I be happy in jail? I will sit in jail and say, yes, this sucks. It's supposed to suck. Yes, I'm not enjoying this. Yes, I'm anxious and paranoid. And yes, that guy might stab me. And yes, I can't sleep and I miss my family. And this is what's supposed to happen to me. And this is how I become the best man I can possibly be. And I'm going to succeed regardless.
You're very convincing. You're so good though, right? It's almost like I feel like you can rationalize anything, right? It's almost like a trick.
Magic trick?
Well, you're really good at talking, you're really smart, and it's almost like any question you can turn and make it work for you, which is great. It's a skill, but there's also a place where there's the potential for self-delusion.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not even going to sit here and say that I'm not delusional to a degree. I'm not saying that self-delusion doesn't exist. We all are, right? Let me give you a very simple example. Let me try and use an analogy. I think the only thing better than having everything you want is not wanting anything, right? So I have every car on this planet. I have 40 supercars. Most people want a supercar. I have 40. But there's that unique 0.1% of people who genuinely don't want one. And I think that's more freeing than having everything you want. Right? So the true mindset is not wanting anything. Most people, the best they can do is having everything they want. And I feel like you can kind of do this with the emotions as well. I guess my general consensus is that I don't think I can change or affect the world to the point where pain and suffering and bad things are not going to happen. So isn't it best if I just enjoy all of that? Doesn't that make me as powerful as possible if I say, oh yeah, okay, this is going to suck. Good. I mean, I do it when I fight. Yesterday I was fighting, right? We were doing 12 rounds and all of us were destroyed. And the more he hurt me, the more I wanted to hurt him back. The more he hurt me, the better it felt. The more powerful I felt, the more he hit me. Because then it's my turn, right? So if I can't stop him from punching me, and I'll do my best, but if I can't, then surely you should learn to enjoy it, right? And I don't think you can stop life from hitting you. And I don't think you can stop life from giving you unexpected surprises. And I don't think you can stop yourself from feeling sometimes sad or anxious or upset. So I think the best mindset you could adopt is finding that engaging and exciting. I'm not going to lie to you. Although I am facing very serious charges, and although they are trying to destroy my life, and although I cannot sleep the same, and although they're out to get me, and although I've suffered, part of me is excited. Part of me is like, okay.
Why?
Because it's a war.
You like war?
I think all men do.
I do.
Yeah, of course. All men do. Yeah. So it's a battle.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I'm not saying I'm glad it happened, because I'm certainly not. And I'm not saying I'm going to win. But I'm saying that I've trained myself to the point where if I were walking down the street and 10 men were to pull knives on me, I'd be intimidated, but 20% of me would go, this is going to be one to remember.
Do you have a belief that you could take 10 men with knives?
I have a belief that, yeah, I do. Because
that's
delusional.
That's delusional.
Yeah, but it gives me a best chance of possibly winning.
Well, no, running away would give you the best chance of possibly winning, and then coming back and being safe, and then serving out your mission.
Of course, I would run away in that scenario. But if I had to engage them, if I had to engage them,
right.
If I had to fight them, I believe I'd be the most capable if I believed I could win.
Of course.
So for that reason, if I have to self-delude, then I will self-delude, and I will convince myself that I am here to destroy all 10 of them. And I will say it in a way where at least 7 of them believe me. And that's the most important part sometimes about all of this self-delusion, is that a lot of other people start to believe what you say. And I'm not saying that I say bad things. If a man were to sit in front of you and say, I can rip your head off with my little finger, and he said it in the right terms, and he truly believed it in his heart, you wouldn't want him to try. As ridiculous as that sounds, you'd be like, he's kind of big, maybe. You know, it crosses your mind. So I think that, yeah, I have psychoanalyzed myself, even though I'm not officially, certified. And I've decided that I can't stop bad things from happening to me. So instead, I'm going to enjoy bad things happening to me. And I'm going to build a mindset that makes me fearsome enough to succeed regardless of how stacked the odds are against me.
Yeah. And I appreciate your mindset, and it's well thought out, and it's useful to you. And so I'm just pushing up against the places where I think there might be contradictions.
I like to hear it. Yeah. I like to hear it, but like I said right now, I'm not a coward. And I want to make this very clear. I'm not a coward. I don't care if I don't sleep again for the rest of my life. I refuse to take any fucking pill, and I refuse to sit and have my mind altered by anything I do not control. I don't care if I have nightmares for the rest of human time.
Right.
As long as I'm in charge of my mind, I'm in charge of my life. If God decides that I don't need nightmares anymore, I'll fathom out how to stop it. If God decides I need to wake up in the middle of the night in a sweat, fearful or afraid they're coming to get me, then that's God's plan for me, and that's what I'm going to deal with. I'm not a coward. I'm not afraid of any of these things. I'm not afraid of feeling bad. I'm not afraid of anxiety. I'm not afraid of panic. This is one of the things I think a lot of men out there struggle with, is they're so worried and afraid of bad feelings. And to me, that's just showing that you've had an easy life. Like, there's real people out here who are trying to kill you. There's people out here who put a knife in your neck. You're scared of what? Feeling sad? Who cares? Like, there's real problems. What are you worried about feeling sad for? Who gives a shit? I could feel sad for the rest of my life, and I guarantee, one, nobody would know, and two, I would be monumentally successful regardless. So why are we even talking about it? I have no fear for a negative feeling. I have fear for me not being able to provide for my children. I have fear for people who rely on me not being provided for and cared for, but I don't have I don't wake up and go, I'm worried if I might feel sad today. Who cares? Who cares? I can be happy or sad on the same day. Nobody notices, and the same things get done. The exact same amount of work gets done. Nothing changes.
How are you making sense of what's happening to you? Is it God's will? Is it a co-creation? In some way, did you co-create this?
Oh, no.
Or are you just like a victim of the Matrix?
No, I'm not a victim. So absolutely everything is, I believe.
In some way you're a victim.
Completely, but I believe in self-accountability.
Sure.
I could have prevented this.
Well, how did you co-create this? If let's presuppose you did.
I created this by being monumentally successful.
Right.
There's no light without dark. Equal and opposite force.
But you said you were excited about it, so maybe there's some way you actually wanted this.
I didn't want this. In fact, I had conversations with Tristan for a long time, and I kept saying Icarus to him. When I would decline certain podcasts, I would decline meeting certain famous people, I would decline talking about politics, I would decline things, and I would keep saying Icarus. And he would say, why are you doing this? And I just reply, Icarus. Because I knew if I got too big that they were going to come for me. I knew that. So I tried to balance it, and I felt like I did a pretty good job, but unfortunately I got it a little bit wrong. My fault. I got it wrong. I put myself here. Mm-hmm. But I also don't believe that there's any light without dark. It's yin and yang for a reason. I don't think that I can just become the most Googled man on the planet and become monumentally successful and make hundreds of millions of dollars and nothing bad's going to come from it. I think that would be hubris. You just used the word hubris. It's a fantastic word. I think it would be stupid for me to sit there and go, I should be able to do all of this good and have a fantastic life and there's going to be no repercussion in any form. Mm-hmm. I knew this was coming to the point where I literally sat with Tristan about 3 weeks before it happened and said, we're fucked.
So why did it happen?
It happened because I became monumentally successful and I became monumentally influential, and the world is a battlefield.
You did create it. In some way, you co-created it.
Completely.
Like you knew this was going to happen, and so there may be some way unconsciously you wanted it to happen. Like if you're on this hero's journey and you're living this big life and you have a big vision for yourself. I mean, you bring up guys like Genghis Khan, and I think that's kind of appropriate because in another era you probably would have been one of those cats, right? So now we're here, and maybe you need this in some way, need this test to really feel yourself, to know how strong you actually are. I mean,
I know what you're saying. I don't think I need the test. I do feel like I need to tell the truth. I do feel like
what's the truth?
The truth is,
the truth about the Matrix?
Yeah, what I believe. And I do believe that I have a responsibility because of my massive platform.
Yeah.